Greetings, fellow dragon riders. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And we are the Watchers of Berk. Yes,
Indeed
that's
we
right.
are.
New recap series. Yeah! Woohoo! Yeah, how you doing, BlueDragonFive?
I'm well.
Alright, so yes, me and BlueDragonFive made a couple How to Train Your Dragon videos. We did a review of How to Train Your Dragon 2, which we both really enjoyed. Unfortunately, it's not doing too well at the box office. It's doing okay, but not as well as the studio would hope. But that's another story.
Curse you, Transformers!
Oh, God. No, curse you, Think Like a Man, too.
Curse you, cheap humor!
It's like, I would be okay with How to Train Your Dragons being beaten by 22 Jump Street, which it was, because 22 Jump Street's amazing. It's just as good as a Lego movie in terms of just really sharp, rapid humor.
Well, they're directed by the same people.
That's what I'm saying. Saying. So, in comparison, the humor is spot on. It's not quite as imaginative as a Lego movie, of course, but that's a different story. And then we also did a direct ears on what we would like to see in the sequel to How to Train Your Dragon 3, in the prequel, if you will, and that was a lot of fun. Generally, BlueDragonFive, what we both enjoy about the series is just how much potential it has, would you say?
Oh, yeah.
Just how much, like, it's just a whole world, and it's just they do a really good job with world building, and I just really like world building, so... So I honestly, it's a surprise, but to me, it's like with How to Train Your Dragon 2, it's a movie that I've only seen once, and yeah, it's just thinking about it just grows on me more and more and more the more I think about it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it just becomes like, so for me, the How to Train Your Dragon series is honestly one of the big surprise franchises to come out of this decade.
Oh yeah. I definitely hope it still goes places despite this box office performance. I don't see why they wouldn't go on with the third one. I mean, they made their money back, technically. It's a question of like whether they'll make enough of it back to do more.
Right. Well,
at least that third one, because the third one's intended to be at least the finale. If they,
I mean, and especially because like with the second one, there's a lot of stuff like, you know, like Hiccup becoming the chief and Toothless becoming the head of the dragons and stuff like that, or the main, whatever the hell the dragon...
The Alpha Dragon.
Alpha Dragon, okay, there we go. You know, there's a lot of stuff that they kind of left open-ended, you know, Baltha's role, so... I don't know, I'd be really disappointed if it just ended on 2. It'd be like if Star Wars ended on Empire Strikes Back. Can you imagine that? Yep. It's like, no, we didn't make enough money, so... Oh, God. Okay, but anyways, BlueDragonFive, enough of the pre-ramble. What are we here to talk about?
We're here to talk about a series that came about from the success of that first movie, because as you mentioned, 2010, you know, How to Train Your Dragon came out, but also in 2010, towards the latter half of that year, it was so popular, they actually greenlit a How to Train Your Dragon tie-in series to kind of bridge, I guess, between movies, if they were planning that far in advance, which they probably were. You know, it takes time to make an animated film.
Sure. Oh, yeah, definitely. And this definitely does do a good job of bridging the gap, but we'll talk about that, of course.
Now, bar in mind, the actual makers of the movie were focused on making the sequel to the movie, so they weren't directly making this. I don't know how much approval they had. To be honest, I don't imagine much, but I imagine, humble speculation, nothing definite yet. I imagine that the creators would watch the series before... or maybe at least during the making of 2, so just to get a general idea of, like, they're not exactly glued down. So this stuff is in continuity, but it is in continuity, but technically they don't have to follow it if they don't want to, because they're the masters of whatever they're making. So, like, in the grand scheme of things, if they want to throw something out, they can throw it out like that.
For sure.
They seem to be on good terms in terms of working between the two, so there's nothing conflicting about either of them yet, at least to my knowledge, watching this series, because I'm pretty much going in with it fresh with Tiki here. It's a little farther ahead of him, a little further ahead than he is.
Yeah,
anyway,
we made the decision to start reviewing the show because we just figured, like, hey, we both really like the series, we both agree that there's a lot of potential, you know, it's like a lot of different dragon types and stuff, so... it really is something that lends itself perfectly to an animated series. So,
Oh yeah. So to be fair, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say, originally I wasn't too favorable to this series. Not that I was extremely negative towards it. It's just that I kind of grouped it in with the other DreamWorks shows, and that some of them were really not good, some of them were okay, and some of them were alright. Like Kung Fu Panda, not too bad, but they're all faced with the same problem. Not as much put behind it as the films or budget.
Right, sure.
In terms of look, and this series suffers from that, but they make up for it in many different ways. Main issue being, it looks like all the animation is missing, like that final render, that film render, if you will. Like,
yeah, I hear you, for sure.
So essentially, it's in the animation process. Basically, you're kind of, if you have the animation going well, and basically you need to add a final render, like the lighting and everything, and really show the textures and everything on the skin and the lighting and everything. But they don't have the budget for that, because that's where the render systems are very pricey.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about it. I mean, I think for my money, How to Train Your Dragon 2 is probably, oh god, I don't want to say the best, but
it's definitely up there. Well,
up there with the best looking animated films ever made.
Well, mind you, they're starting to utilize the motion capture technology in computer animation. So.
Right, which is really cool. Although I must say, having rewatched the Lego Movie also, Jesus, the animation for that is just off the charts.
But it's like comparing fruits. I mean, they're both great.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Anyways. So the point is, like, I was a little harsher on Dragons, but bear in mind I didn't really see much of it at all. I saw the second episode in its entirety, pretty much that, and like clips here and there of the series, and I just thought, it was okay, but I didn't read much into it.
Sure.
Because again, I just grouped it in with that DreamWorks category. Well, the animation's not all up to snuff, and they'll get a lot of the original voice actors back, like Gerard Butler's or Craig Ferguson's. So with that in mind, I kind of foolishly kind of wrote it off. And basically, the main reason is, like, it came on at an inconvenient time for me, and I was just distracted by other things. So a lot of things factor into why I didn't really pick up on this series. But again, it was in 2010. It was on Cartoon Network. So far, it's ran for 2 seasons, coming back for a 3rd season, which unfortunately, 3rd season next year, but will not be running on Cartoon Network. It will be running on Netflix. Really? So that's going to present some issues.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll see.
We'll see how we tackle that. I mean, it's gonna be a long time before we get through 40 episodes. So.
Yeah. So I mean, logically, I mean, if something is on Netflix, it will be released on DVD at some point, right?
Oh yeah. Like Orange is the New Black, House of Cards, stuff like that. That's all on DVD.
So eventually, it will be out on DVD. Same thing with the Marvel shows coming out. So if you don't have access to it, it'll be expensive from what I hear potentially, but it'll be out.
Oh god. Yeah.
From what I hear. Anyway.
Well, I still have a local video store, so I just bank on renting everything.
Right. So anyway, so this series, speaking of the other DreamWorks shows, this series had the intention from the get-go that it was going to be darker and a little more serious and basically better than the rest. So they had that intention of being better than the other DreamWorks series. Kung Fu Panda was pretty much the best they had until this, and it was okay. It's still not bad. It's just that one's really, they're missing the voice actors, and it's decent writing, but it's not as good as the movies. This one, however, this one is continuing a story, which you gotta appreciate even more. It was just Kung Fu Panda is just more adventures. Kung Fu Panda is more adventures. This one's continuing a story, advancing our characters, and at least a little. It's better, to put it simply. It's better, and it ran on Cartoon Network. And our cast that do return, surprisingly, aside from a little more than the Penguins of Madagascar. The most amount of voice actors from the original film returning, because, well, let's face it, Penguins just has the director and 2 voice actors coming along.
Right.
And they couldn't even get the 4th one. They have Jeff Ben in there. Jeff Ben, who's fantastic, but he's not in the movie.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we have Jay Baruchel coming back to do the voice of Hiccup. We got America Ferrera coming back to do Astrid. Christopher Mintz-Plasse as Fish Legs. T.J. Miller as Tough Nut?
Rough Nut? Or Tough? No, you're right. I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah, Tough Nut. Okay. As Tough Nut.
T.J. Miller's in the new Transformers, and apparently... Oh, no. Never mind. I'm not going to... No.
Anyway. So, yeah, you're right about that. And Nolan and the voice actors, they got good people to replace some of our famous actors from the film, such as Nolan North, who's most famous for voicing Deadpool, is replacing Gerard Butler as Stoic, and he's not
Really, I
bad.
wouldn't think that a Deadpool voice actor would be a good Stoic, but he works.
Yeah, Nolan North is a fantastic talent, but I can
Uh-huh.
go on for hours about him.
Oh, yeah.
Also, someone who really does a good job, Chris, hope I'm pronouncing his last name right, Chris Edgerly.
Okay.
He does the voice of Gobber, and he has a really good spot on Craig Ferguson impression, if you ask me.
Yeah, for sure. I was not sure watching the episode, so yeah.
Makes me sad because Craig Ferguson used to do a lot of voice acting, but I guess he's just been busy. So
Yeah, for sure. Like he did.
He was in Freakazoid.
Wait, was he?
Yeah,
What
he was.
character was he?
Remember, he was the. He was Roddy McStew. He was the Scotsman.
Oh, of course. Oh God.
Remember, crud. Anyway, he was even in Buzz Lightyear Star Command as a major role, but.
Right. I know him mostly. He did Owl and the new Winnie the Pooh, which is a very good movie. But,
Anyway, so those are our replacement, you guys, but also some great talents coming in to voice some of our recurring characters, such as Tim Conway, the great Tim Conway, does the voice of Mulch, our fisher. Tim Conway and Tom F. Wilson, they're the Bucket and Mulch, the Stoics friends, the Vikings that do the fishing and do a lot of the manual labor around the place.
yeah.
Tom F. Wilson, you remember he's Biff from Back to the Future, and Tim Conway, he's
of
Barnacle.
course.
And Tim Conway, he's Barnacle Boy from SpongeBob.
Okay.
Also, he's been on many. He's been he's been on countless old TV shows like McHale's Navy and yada yada yada. He's been on a lot of TV. And the great Stephen Root going to do the voice of Mildew, who we'll talk about momentarily.
Oh yeah.
Stephen Root, always good actor. Anyway, so and the runner through each episode you're going to find is that it opens and closes with Hiccup narrating like he does in films.
Appropriately enough, I guess.
I mentioned
I can see, like, I'm a fan of it in the films, but I can see it getting a little obnoxious in the series, so we'll see how it goes.
However, I got to tell you, so far I've watched I think a little more than you have, but watching it so far, it hasn't got on my nerves at all yet. It's it relates to the episode, so it does make sense. I guess that's the reason I like it.
Right. All right.
Anyway, so however, when they do like kind of ham in the music, it gets a little much, but it's fine. I don't mind.
Yeah.
Anyway, so in terms of the animation, I mentioned basically it's missing a render. However, the reason this is better than the rest of the DreamWorks animation that's lacking that is that it makes up for it in spades with all the effort and movement.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like the effort that's put into the animation, particularly the movement, so they are pushing ideas that do actually appear in 2 when you really think about it, which we'll get into. A lot of stuff you're going to see in the series does appear in 2. So again, I'm not sure how much they watch this series in 2. It might be coincidence. Good chance it is coincidence. But
I don't know. I honestly be surprised if the writers of 2 didn't take the time to watch every episode.
That's the thing. I would imagine they would watch it, but again, they're in production at the same time, I imagine. So who knows?
I don't know. Well, I'm saying, like, you know, when you get the screenwriters, it's like that's pre-production. You know what I mean? So it's like.
Well, remember, it's different writers working on this too. So like, it's not the same writers that are working on this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying the screenwriters for Dragons 2, you know, it's like during pre-production, it's like you would think logically they'd watch the theory, but I digress.
Yeah. Anyway, so I guess we should just get into the episode then. I'll talk about Hiccup's opening. Then we'll
all right. Well, do you have any background for how this series kind of?
Well, that's pretty much it. I just kind of went through basically 2,000 How to decide to greenlit a series because DreamWorks works on the Jeffrey Katzenberg works the dollar signs in his eyes, so he just figures, well, DreamWorks has done well with How to Train Your Dragon. Let's make that into a series. And you know what else? Let's make Monsters vs. Aliens into a series.
Oh God! Oh.
So, yeah, not much foresight in his eyes, but just dollar signs. Anyway.
Can you explain one thing to me before we start? Because I'm kind of curious. How is it that some of these DreamWorks shows end up on Nickelodeon and others on Cartoon Network?
Look, let's Nickelodeon. Let's trying to think here.
I know Nickelodeon has Penguins, right?
This is the only non-Nickelodeon show.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, this is the only non-one.
So how did this one end up on Cartoon Network and not Nickelodeon?
Well, I do recall that Cartoon Network, I think, had a fight for it.
Okay, cool. So.
They fought for it, but I guess because to be honest with you, just the hope between hopes. I got nothing to confirm this or not, but I think the hope between hopes is that Cartoon Network's trying to get to that kind of golden age programming with a show like this.
Oh yeah.
And I assume, like Cartoon Network, they were kind of in real life. I assume Cartoon Network was just realizing, okay, we're getting kind of whole with a lot of the crap we're putting on there. We gotta get some good stuff on there. And what's good and popular? How to Train Your Dragon. So let's fight for that. Let's get that on there.
Essentially, with Cartoon Network, it was like, oh, holy crap, we have this show, Adventure Time, that's really popular. Let's make every series exactly like that. And that's, yeah.
So I think the flaw with that is that the Nickelodeon, you get more exposure out there, and more people are going to watch it. However...
really? More people would watch Nickelodeon?
Well, when I say
that... I
don't
know about that lately, because I think, like, with Adventure Time, I think Cartoon Network's more popular.
Well, no, I mean, it's going to have... They run the episodes more on Nickelodeon, is what I mean. It's more exposure.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
However, Cartoon Network, I think you can get away with more on Cartoon Network, so that's another reason I think they gravitate towards Cartoon Network. You're not going to be as susceptible to kind of studio notes, if you will.
Yeah,
so I think they can get away with more.
Worth watching in years, so
I don't know. I think they can get away with more stuff on Cartoon Network, and they get a time slot that's a little more prime time-ish.
Oh yeah, definitely. And like I said, right up there with something like Adventure Time, which is, you and me are both not really big fans of Adventure Time, but at least I think it's cool that they can kind of put this and Adventure Time together to.
Well, now we know that. Unfortunately, now with the lineup, we kind of found out that, as I mentioned, it's not coming back on Cartoon Network, so apparently that fell through, or just it wasn't.
Right, yeah, huh.
So unfortunately, no longer on Cartoon Network, which, another mistake on Cartoon Network's part, I guess.
We'll see how it goes, yeah.
Anyway, yeah, we'll see. Anyway, so...
All right, so yeah, with that in mind, you want to...
All right, yeah, so Hiccups, I'll say Hiccups opening, and then we'll get into the recap.
Okay, sure.
Anyway, so Hiccup, his opening essentially is, saying that we can, he goes into the rant saying, Berk was this way, but now we can train dragons. We were attacked by dragons, but now we can train them. That's pretty much the opening.
All right, yeah, and we get a nice little montage going through the village and stuff, just like every movie, it's like kind of just showing how things are. And all right, so then the first real scene of this series is, I wrote down, it's basically Tony Hawk in the form of dragons. And I don't know, something about this bothers me, BlueDragonFive, because it's like, Hiccup shows up, and the rest of them are waiting for him, and he's like, okay, let's have our dragon trick contest. Best dragon trick. I'm Jay Berry Shell. Do you see how
okay, ease up on the kid, would you?
Okay, but my problem with this is that Hiccup obviously has more experience riding dragons than the rest of these people.
Mm-hmm.
So he obviously has a one-up in this competition. It's just not really that fair in my mind. It's like, oh, Hiccup one-up them once again. Big surprise. It's like, why does Hiccup hold this contest to feed his own ego?
Well, I don't think he held the contest.
Oh, do you think it was like Astrid or someone who's actually?
I'm thinking like it's either like I'm just assuming that Astrid maybe was definitely game for it. I mean, she's been putting the most work into training.
Oh yeah, sure.
My guess is that like someone like either the twins or Snotlout, probably Snotlout because he's all like proving that he's the best.
Oh yeah.
I'm assuming like Snotlout said, "Hey, let's train a dragon, see how cool it is." And like the twins saying, "Yeah, let's ride our dragons, that'll be awesome." And then Hiccup's like, "Okay, let's see what we do." He's all for it. He likes riding the dragons. He's okay with it. So I don't think they directly stated that who initiated the contest. So I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Even if it is, it's just Hiccup saying, "Hey, let's ride the." If so, I'm just assuming Hiccup said, "Let's ride our dragons." Then one of them said, "Let's make it into a contest." And maybe that's where it went.
All right, fair enough. It's kind of a little detail to nitpick, but all right, so we get let's see. Do you want to describe each of the tricks that they do?
Sure, but one thing, something that kind of made me a little edgy before when we got to this scene, though.
Mm-hmm.
the actual opening to the show is like, basically it opens every episode. It's kind of their animated series opening, if you will.
Right.
Basically, he says, like, you ready to go, bud? And then he flies around, and then basically lands there, shoots a flame that says, Riders of Berk, and then, yeah.
Oh.
And I gotta say, the animation, it took a while. I needed to see it in motion, really, to really get hooked on the animation.
Sure.
Again, I told you the effort in the movement really sells you on the kind of lacking render. So when I just saw it like that, I was a little worried, but then it won me over. The last thing I want to say about that. But anyway, so our riders. So we see the running gag initiate with Snotlout. Basically, his dragon does the opposite, whatever he says, as he does with Hiccup usually.
Yeah.
Meatlug is lovable. Basically, she flies out, does this little turn, and flies back.
New personal best.
The twins, they can't do diddly squat because they're always bickering.
The twins were my favorite, and I love the line, "Ah, this is awesome but scary."
Oh, that's funny. And Astrid. Now, Astrid, I've told you in ad nauseum, I love Astrid, and I love the fact that America Ferrera do her voice still, and just given where she is into it. Again, a big reason we're talking about the series because we were so jazzed out of our minds over 2.
Exactly.
We wanted to see what linked them, and presumably in that 3rd season that's coming, it's going to bridge 2 and 3, which should be even better, hopefully.
Yeah, the 3rd season is going to be called
Masters.
I think it's Dragon Masters.
It's going to be called Dragon Masters, which kind of leads to the assumption it will take place in between the 2, which one could hope.
Sure.
But nothing definite. No sure thing, though, so take it if you will. Anyway, so the Astrid's main thing for this season will advance her character in 3, mainly that she cares about 3 things in this world. She loves her dragon to death. She will do anything to protect that dragon, protect Toothless, and protect Hiccup. Those are her 3 main things she has to protect. And you gotta love a character who's all dedicated. She's not just like she's not just your tough warrior chick. She is a complex character. She's the smartest one in the room. She's actiony. She has the good quips. So she's a really fun character. And basically, we see she's working on tricks with her dragon, really taking pride in her work. So she's been hanging out with Hiccup a lot too. Mm-hmm. So it's probably rubbed off in that sense. So we see her. She's doing tricks on Stormfly. Stormfly doing a lot of aerial maneuvers, firing little quills on it.
Right.
Then Hiccup outshines them all. He's basically flying on Toothless really fast. And the new trick, and again, 2 things to point out in this scene. The main one that does appear in 2, so this is important. We get a little nod to 2 here. Hiccup, he jumps off Toothless's back and runs on he runs on like a little a piece of rock and then jumps back on his back. That's in 2 directly.
Right.
So, I mean, just saying, I was impressed by that. Saying, oh, yeah, they are using it. So 2 did have some stuff from this series in it.
Yeah.
Then again, could be a coincidence, because really, how many tricks can you do? But it shows me just the animators are definitely putting some thought into how can we push this? How can we do some new cool dragon moves?
Yeah,
how's Hiccup gonna win this contest without shining Astrid? Pretty much. So, I mean, he's going to do some neat tricks, and there's a neat trick right there, and also another like a great little finale to the trick is it basically has Toothless fire some plasma balls, and making kind of this really cool ripply color thing in the sky to ride through, which is really neat looking.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, the animation in it, like especially when it's slow motion and he's running over that little gap or whatever it is, it's just it really takes you back to the first movie, and the second movie it's really whimsical, for lack of a better word. It
makes sense, it's like a little riding demonstration. It sells us instantly on what a big element of the first movie, which was all the flying spectacle. So that's the reason it's there, just to give us some flying spectacle before we get the story.
Mm-hmm.
Shows us kind of the connection, the dynamics between these characters instantly in that opening. And then it's fun. It makes sense for these characters too. Like, if they have dragons, they're gonna play with the dragons like if they were pets, and they're gonna do stuff like that. It's like Pokemon trainers, and they fight each other.
But like I said, like playing that particular game with Hiccup is like playing a game of Super Smash Brothers with a kid who does nothing but play Super Smash Brothers 24/7. Like, he's going to kick your ass. Okay, but anyways, we move on, and we see that, it looks like Berk is under attack by the dragons, but
they're just running amok.
Yeah. So this is kind of, brings the whole theme of the episode together, where the whole story is, well, we have these dragons, and, we're not fighting with them anymore, but hey, dragons are going to be dragons, so what are you going to do, Let's see. And then Hiccup kind of says there's those who will never accept them, and then those who will drive dragons off Berk for good. So speaking of that, you want to talk about...
Yeah, if I may, I get a rant and something to address here.
Oh God! Oh, I know what your rant is. Okay.
Okay, so it's in the opening here. Okay, the dragons are running amok, and basically the main message here is that I like this. It's very logical. Obviously, now the dragons are accepted in Berk. It's still going to take some time to adjust because they are pretty much wild animals.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone's trained yet, so they're still. So yeah, it makes sense. So I like that. But anyway, so two rants here. I got a rant to the thing about a character. I call this the poo rant.
What did you? Is this like the Emancipation Proclamation? You titled it and everything.
Well, let me just say this. Something I was just kind of like, it wasn't in the forefront of my mind focus, but it was always in the back there. I was always impressed at How to Train Your Dragon. When I really just after I saw the movies, and even two, I just had in the back of my mind after I've literally thought of everything about the movie that was awesome. I just realized something that what I'm impressed that these guys they haven't resorted to the lowest common. Like the thing it's the cliche. It's in every pet story. It's something they always have to be conscious for, especially in kids things nowadays.
Oh yeah,
they're going nuts over it. The ever famous poo joke, especially the pet poo joke. I'm so impressed that they never went there. But you know what? Lo and behold, in the first episode, nonetheless, less than 5 minutes in, I think, right after our first awesome flying sequence, because we're walking into town, and like 3 seconds after we see dragons running amok, we see Vikings with makeshift umbrellas with the shields. Bucket and mulch, they're under two shields, and then basically they say, 3 o'clock. And then, it comes swooping in green dragon poo. I like to think I'm a fair judge of character on the bowel humor because I'm a watcher of Family Guy. I think I've seen my fair share of bathroom humor. I think I'm a good judge. I think at least I'm a fair judge of this. And you know what? It just... did we need it? No, we didn't need it. It was like the one unspoiled thing, and they addressed it in this episode. There's the good poo joke, the bad poo joke, and the cheap poo joke. This is not a good joke, but it's not that bad a joke. It's just really, really cheap because it does buy back by the end of it. The good news is that it has a story purpose in this episode, so at least it's not all for naught. Hence the cheap and not the bad. However,
and also, there's no fart sound effect to go along with it.
Yeah, there's no fart sound effect, but there is a fart in some other episode. That's pretty much the extent of bathroom humor I've seen so far.
Okay.
So I'm impressed by that. At least they're not making this a running gag, which I would hate. So far.
Right.
I haven't finished the season yet, folks. But so far, aside from a fart joke, there's been no bathroom humor, which I can commend them for. But I gotta tell you, I draw the line when we end the end of the second act with our dashing hero being defecated on the head. I kind of draw the line. Why would you end a second act like that? Come on.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my poo rant. But luckily we haven't gotten it again yet, so hopefully that'll be the end of it completely.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, maybe they were thinking like, well, we have to rope in the young kids, it's like we have to rope in the kiddies,
Again, comparatively to a lot of the cheap poo jokes we get nowadays, at least they had a story reason for it. They did buy it back somehow.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
Which I'm impressed by. That's the only reason I'm giving remotely a pass. Only reason remotely. Otherwise, I'd be like, come on!
Right,
anyway,
right.
So speaking of mildew, right?
Yeah.
Okay, mildew. Thing about mildew, a little funny story here, real quick. I've told you about this, Tiki, but you'll mention if any of you watched the How to Train Your Dragon 3 speculation thing. I came up with a character that is essentially he's like the only one he's a resident of Berk who's not too crazy about the dragons. He's really menacing, but he presents smart, intelligent arguments against the dragons.
Exactly.
You
Yeah,
have
you're right.
you have dragons. It's a power struggle. It's like having it's the arms race with dragons, pretty much. However, I was so surprised, and again, complete accident, complete coincidence, folks.
Right.
The only episode I saw this character in full, I'll remind you, was the second episode, and he had very little role in that. This character, and I didn't even know his name.
Yeah, he's just kind of there, so there's a couple lines.
Yeah, again, like the whole third speculation thing, he's no name because I haven't got a name for him yet, but this character, Mildew, voiced by Stephen Root, again, wonderfully voiced by Stephen Root, but he's basically that character I came up with, just really comedic and non-threatening at all. He's like a completely comedic and non-threatening version of the character. Because he's against the dragons, but it's completely for selfish reasons. He's not smart at all in his approach. He's a whiner, pretty much.
I mean, he goes to some pretty petty lengths in this episode, I must say.
He's an old whiner with quirks. Like he's with a sheep that potentially he has he has an unnatural relationship with a sheep.
Oh no.
I'm kidding, but it's just he has the sheep fungus is always with him. He carries it like a satchel.
Right, yeah.
It's a little unnatural, but not unnatural as if I meant it to be that way.
My.
Oh God, no. Sorry about that, folks. But point is, Mildew is just a big old whiner, and that's his runner throughout the series so far. It's just a whiner, very unthreatening. He's not threatening. It's just he's a nuisance. He's an annoyance.
Yeah, he's like the loudest, he's like the loudest person in the room who's gonna.
He's the only one. He'll be the one that complains about the dragons the instant he can, just to get rid of them. Again, he doesn't really mind. He doesn't really want them killed, but he doesn't mind if they are. He's just basically get rid of them, get back to the way things were. Again, he's like a really dumb version of my character. I mean, he's okay. He's okay in the series. I'm just saying he's literally a dumber version. He's just not as intelligent as the guy I made.
Right.
But anyway,
the guy you made, it's like he's basically just almost kind of, just really intellectual. You know what I mean? Just
this guy. Right now, Mildew. He's not really a three-dimensional character. He's like two dimensions, if anything.
Yeah.
Basically saying, I don't like the dragons, and I'm all selfish. That's pretty much his character.
All right.
But anyway, one last thing to say. This is a real funny thing, real quick. Last thing I'll do is that it's funny that we have another character in this series coming up who's going to be really awesome. You're going to love him.
Oh, I can't wait.
And it's kind of funny. He's he's more menacing than Mildew, but he's
sure.
he's basically he's more fun than Drago Bloodfist, but essentially he's a watered down Drago Bloodfist, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different kind of menace. It's a fun menace. This character in this series, but
like a Joker kind of menace, if you will.
Well, somewhat.
Oh,
one could say. Anyway, so Alvin's pretty much he's a watered down version of Drago Bloodfist, and it kind of makes me think. Well, if they took like I have no bearing on this, but if they did look at this series, and if they did basically take Alvin and make him more menacing, and for 2. Same could be done for Mildew, and there's a very slim chance there's a slim chance in heck that they're ever gonna use the villain I came up with for the speculation thing. Slim chance, and I like it, but I have no. I would bet money against it.
Johnson was my number 2 choice to direct Star Wars, and he ended up directing the second movie. So
I bet money against my idea being used. However, if they did do what they did, if they did something. If they took this character and made him serious, I might get a little bit of victory there. Who knows? I'm sorry for derailing it, but let's get back to the.
So basically, this introduction of him, he's just a farmer, got some crops, and
cabbages.
Oh boy, a herd of dragons is kind of devouring, kind of eating the cabbages and whatnot. So, no, not really happy about that.
Yeah, he just whines the stoic, saying, "Hey, these dragons are a menace." He's all selfish. Dragons are a menace.
The next day, Stoic's organizing everything, and he comes up. Like I said, he's just the loudest voice in the room, who's not afraid to step up and voice his thoughts. And like you said, it's like he basically does it the first chance he gets, just because he's kind of just got a vendetta. It's like, imagine Rabbit from Winnie the Pooh. living in the How to Train Your Dragon universe. It's like that. It's like, Rabbit is very OCD about his crops and whatnot, and this guy's the same way. It's like anything that affects it, he's just gonna freak out over.
But this guy's an instigator, though. You're gonna see throughout more episodes that he's an instigator. Like, he's a real unpleasant person. You kind of want bad things to happen to this guy.
Oh, sure. Okay, so...
He's just a jerk.
Yeah. So, yeah, he starts complaining, and, might I say, BlueDragonFive, I think one of the things about the animation in this show is... It's not a major issue, but I think some of the background character designs are a little bit awkward.
Also, you'll notice Stoke doesn't have a cape because it would be too much money to animate.
Yeah, I didn't really mind that.
I'm saying it's a little fun fact to notice. Like that's the reason he doesn't have a cape.
Honestly, I think the thing with Stoic that's more noticeable is that his beard doesn't look as, like his facial hair and hair in general in animation is one of those things that's really costly to animate.
Well, it's better. Well, it's better than I thought it'd be. If you look in the past shows have had worse hair models because of that stuff.
Oh, I'm sure, but it still kind of looks a little bit bubblegummy, if I will.
Yeah, but at least it's in parts, and you can tell it's like animated in parts. At least it's a little.
Yeah, that's true. So.
It's like same thing with Astrid's hair. Astrid's hair is a little more solid than it should be.
Yeah, but.
But you can only do so much, but it's fine.
So that's just one of the things I noticed in this little scene where Mildew's kind of voicing to the crowd, is that the crowd gets all angry and whatnot, and I don't know, just the designs are just a little bit, just a tiny bit off-putting. I don't know. Like I said, it's not a major issue, but so.
Anyway, so if I'm correct, if I may.
Yeah.
So so Stoics, he's faced with all the whining from Mildew. It's a genuine problem, though. Just to be fair, it's a genuine problem. The dragons are running amok here, and it is going to be troublesome. But you don't need to gather an angry mob, though. But anyway, so there's a problem. Then basically Stoics trying to think of solutions. Really funny scene. Where Stoic and Gobber, good old Gobber, again wonderfully voiced Gobber, sound alike. Basically, Stokes come up with these ideas and Gobber just shooting them down. It's really funny. Basically, Stokes says, "What about signs?" Yeah, Nolan North. What do you think about Nolan North doing the voice of Stoke, by the way?
Well, like I said, he's a little less recognizable than someone like a Gerard Butler. So I think, I don't know. It's like Gerard Butler. He's so. Instantly, I think he's a little bit iconic in the role of Stoic. So for me, he was a little bit of a downgrade. I don't know, but it's still really good. So
yeah, the thing to remember is that in animation, in terms of voice actors, they have two types of voice acting. You got sound alike, and then you got acting with the character.
So this guy's basically trying to act a character, not sound alike, right? Am I correct in that?
Yeah, he's doing that, but he's doing a good job of balancing the two. So he does sound remotely like him, but he's also emoting in performance. You gotta give him that.
Yeah, for sure. It is kind of a different performance. I'll give it that much, and it's a good one. So
yeah, he is. He's going to be doing this character long term for the series. So you gotta give him. Right. He's trying to build something he can work on, but I think it's enough like Gerard Butler's sound to still be the. It's more the character of Stoke than just Gerard Butler. So you gotta give him that.
Oh yeah. I mean, anyway. I think it's better when voice actors create their own characters than when they're trying to do an impression and it just kind of sounds bad.
Yeah.
Like Dan Castellaneta's Genie, for example.
Yeah, I got a point there, yeah. So Stoic, he's come up with these solutions that Gobber's just shooting down. It's really funny. He's the same timing as Craig Ferguson, so you gotta love that.
Right.
Basically saying, what about signs, Gobber? And basically says, signs for dragons. No, the people. Signs for Vikings. Oh, I love the Gobber wit. I love how they wrote the Gobber wit, and it's in there just enough, but it's really funny.
Mm-hmm.
And basically then say, what about nets? Dragons can breathe fire, Stoic. Yeah, there's basically just come up with ideas. And in terms of Stoic's characterization, I like how he's a wiser Stoke, so we get to see a little more Stoke after one.
Yeah, that is cool because because honestly, the first one, man, that character gets kind of dark with how anti-dragon he is in some spots. It really is kind of like the big, dramatic forefronts of that film.
Well, understandably, because the dragons presumably kill his wife.
Yeah, especially when we find that out. Of course, we find out more backstory about that in the sequel. And
yeah, sure.
But
anyway, so thing with yeah, so he's a wiser Stoic. So like I like that. It's kind of he's hearing people out. He's doing chiefly things, and I like that. Mm-hmm. But still, we're going to see in episodes later on, he still is the same character. So he's like a little more, he's thick-headed at times. He doesn't quite get the lesson immediately, but he is still, he's a little great. He's the Stoic we all know and love, but he's a wise Stoic. So he's a little more open-minded than the past, and I like that about him.
And I must say, just given the circumstances of 2, it's kind of making me see the character in a bit of a different light. That's all.
Oh yeah. I think he's a better chief. He's a wiser. I like seeing him as he's really an effective leader in this series, and I like seeing that fleshed, especially after 2. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, so I guess basically things are. Hiccup enters the scene now. So you can take it.
Yeah, he enters and he's just like, oh, well, dragons are our friends. It's just kind of their behavior. We can train them, guys. Come on.
And it was a neat scene, especially, again, after seeing 2. That's all we'll say. After seeing 2, Hiccup basically has like the line, let me train him, Dad. Mm-hmm. Then Stoic says, you're not even a man yet. Basically, well, give me the chance to prove I can be.
Yeah, it's cool. That I must say, it's weird to go back to the Hiccup character design, and the character designs in general. Given 2, they aged him, so it's kind of weird to go back to like teenage Hiccup now. And
oh yeah, I love his armor in 2. Though. I kind of wish he had that, but he can't have everything.
Well, I mean, maybe we'll find out how he gets his armor. Perhaps,
well, potentially in the 3rd season, potentially.
Well, the 3rd season take place.
Well, I'm saying if 3rd season is in fact between the. Oh wait, yeah, you're right. So actually, yeah, we may never. Well, he'll certainly be in it if it is after 2. So he'll be in the armor at least.
Oh yeah.
If it is, again, if. But maybe 2 gives him some armor pieces. I could only hope. I haven't seen it yet. So,
I would be surprised if the 3rd season wasn't between, but I digress.
Anyway.
So
yeah, things are basically. So Hiccup's now taken on the job, and he's good. Again, I love how Stoic gave him a chance. Basically, gives him a shot to get the dragons under control. Mm-hmm. So again, like Hiccup, Hiccup's an inventive guy, and he's a practical guy. He's walking out there, says, "Okay, well, you got to train all the dragons. Simple solution. Okay, makes sense." Goes out there. However, there's a lot of dragons. It's really chaotic. You handle one dragon to one doing a mess over there. The problem is it's too big a job, and it needs time. That's the main problem here. It needs time, but you got dunderheads like Mildew saying it needs to happen now.
Oh, come on, it's just phase 1. I have this whole master plan, guys. Just gotta give me.
Hold that thought. I love that. Hold that thought. But it basically needs time, and they get their onlookers being our Viking gang, and then again, I hate how the 2nd act ends with our dashing hero being defecated on.
So you just gotta bring it back. It wasn't enough to just have it in the opening and then tie it together in the closing. That was cheap. I mean, I got to admit, that bothered me more than the opening did, because at least with the opening, it's kind of setting stuff up. Like, it's like, oh yeah, it's like, and it is kind of one of those logical things that you kind of have to think about. It's like, well, they do have a system for it. It's like the dragons fly by every day at a certain time, and they have the shield. So it's like
at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's just. That's what we want to do with our characters. We want to crap on them. Let's just crap all over our characters. No, we don't want to do that. I'm sorry, that still bugs me. Especially, that's the main part that bugs me. I mean, I'll forget the other parts. That one really bugs me. Anyway, so we got a great scene. Again, I love Astrid. In particular, I love Astrid and Hiccup together. And we get an Astrid Hiccup anthem scene where Astrid's pointing out that, Hiccup looks a little battered from the day, and he's tired from this. It's too big a job, yada yada. And then he says, "Here's a plan." Then he says,
Oh, I have a plan. I'm sorry. I didn't know you were waiting for me to do something. Gosh, I'm sorry. Yes, I have a plan. I have a big master plan.
Yeah, I love this whole plan thing. Basically, his father comes in and he says, Jacob, tell me this is part of your plan. Yes, it is part of my plan, Dad. It's
Oh,
really funny. And again, I like how Astrid's cornering him on the issues. Astrid, as a character, I love how she gets him in the right mindset. I love that.
yeah, right. It's like she's not just gonna like, she doesn't just let him like. It's cool because I feel like other characters in the series kind of take Hiccup as like, like the grand. I mean, not necessarily, but I feel like I say, Hiccup's kind of like the person who's the master of the dragons at this point. He's literally
Yes.
the person that brought him into the society and whatnot. So it's good to see someone like Astrid, like keep him in line, and because not all of his ideas are going to be good ones. So.
Exactly. It's like that great moment in the first movie where basically she asks like what Hiccup's going to do with this whole he has to slay a dragon tomorrow morning thing. Basically, yeah, it's really good stuff between those two. And throughout the series, you're going to see they really impressively, they don't hammer in their relationship, but they keep it there just enough. And this is like one of those scenes where basically she's in his room. It's there's a little bit of like implied personality there. She's there confronting him in the place where he lives.
Right.
It's a really good friendship, but at times you'll see throughout the series you got a bit of romantic stuff here and there, but just enough. It's like light enough not to get in the way.
Yeah, for sure.
But
It's not like
to be honest, I wouldn't mind any if they did a little more of it. But it's fine the way they have it in there. It's impressively done, so they're not hammering it in.
Yeah, because like with some shows and love interest, it can just get to the point where it's like, okay, just kind of we get it. They're a couple, and so.
Yeah.
It's nice that Astrid is a character first, a love interest second. I mean, that's, of course, the good thing about her character in general.
Yeah. Anyway, so we get this. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to think if there's anything else in the scene. Okay, so yeah, now we're at the. Take us to where we are next, Tiki.
Yeah, well, the next morning we see that Hiccup's master plan, air quotes, is to train the dragons in the former stadium that they used to kill them. And
Which is humorous.
well, it's humorous, but I've got to say it leads to some interesting character development because we have Meatlog. Meatlog. I guess did she lose a cousin there? Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I don't think that's funny. I think that's actually kind of like a little bit tragic.
It is. I'm sorry. I'm thinking like the Fish Legs delivery just cracks me up on that line where it says Meatlug lost a cousin here.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you that. It is.
I'm sorry. It's just the delivery that cracks me up. It's a dark humor.
Thinking about it, it's like, well, yeah. I mean, that does make sense. It's like this place is like a freaking dragon concentration camp.
Yeah, it's more dark humor. Just the idea. It's humorous because it's about the idea. This is a place where about between the dragons. There's all this whole war between the dragons, and they basically were slayed in this arena. So there are some dark memories attached to this place. But then again, we saw in the first movie though the dragons weren't exactly in the worst of conditions, but their lives weren't worth much though.
Yeah, right.
I'm saying basically no dragons died in that first movie in that arena.
Yeah, you're right.
Still,
you're
the
right.
Was there. Remember, basically Hiccup saved those dragons continually from Astrid, so those dragons should be terrified of Astrid.
God.
To be honest
Oh
with you.
God, exactly.
Astrid almost killed them so many times. Now that I think about it, because I think she was going to kill Meatlug. Actually, she was about to kill Meatlug, then Hiccup knocked her out.
Right. So,
Anyway.
So Astrid, of course, points out, "Oh, does your father know about this?" He's like, "Well, yeah."
That bothers me though. I mean, where else would he train these things?
I mean, especially because it's kind of like the end of the episode is just like, "Oh, you had this idea that you went behind my back to do. Well, hey, I'll let you do it anyways."
Well, I mean, at the end, I'm saying when he goes against them later on, that makes more sense. But this one, okay, who cares if he went behind his back? He's still taking care of business. And next time, it's more important.
So you're saying, like...
I'm saying, where else are you going to train him?
Astrid's kind of overreacting.
I'm saying, no, I mean, I mean, it shouldn't be a big deal in the first place. I mean,
Actually, yeah, you're right. Considering it's like, yeah, Hiccup is dealing with the situation. It's like,
he
yeah,
told them to train the dragons. Where else is he going to train them? The place where they were learning about the dragons. Where else?
yeah, that's a good point.
The place where you can control the dragons a little so they don't instantly fly around the place and destroy stuff. I mean, there is a giant hole in there for them to fly up, but at least, they're in a little more of a closed-off environment. Come on, where else are you going to train them?
Uh-huh.
That minor thing. Very minor
There's one
thing.
line about the twins, like, there's something like, refresh my memory on it, there's something like...
Well, the twins are always saying, let's destroy stuff, pretty much.
No, exactly.
Like they say, the Hiccup's running around trying to put the place out, all destruction of dragons before he was defecated on by the dragons.
Oh, God.
Basically, I'm sorry, it really bugs me. Basically, he's running around, a lot of destruction's happening. Basically, the twins saying, like, "What's he doing?" Looks like he's destroying stuff. Let's go help.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God.
That's their
might be my favorite characters in this whole series.
Yeah. Especially
But,
P.J. Miller's one. I notice. I wonder if it's just because Kirsten Wiig's not really doing the voice, but Roughness and Run not really getting much to do. At least so far, I've seen it.
Not particularly. I mean, then again, like we both kind of agreed that she stole the show in two. So
Yeah. No, it's kind of interesting. Like she gets more to do. She gets more to do in 2, and he gets more to do in this show. It's interesting.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Because in 2, he's kind of just in the background. And might I just say, I love your comparison that you make with him. That he's basically like a PG version of Jay from Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah, he's basically PG Jason Mewes. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Anyway, so where are we next? Okay, so after training, so bring the things into the environment they used to be slain. You got some uneasy memories there, but basically Hiccup he's training them.
Mm-hmm.
Teaching them how to train their dragons, and the bread trick. The bread trick, simply if the dragon has something it's not supposed to have, bread in this case, you scratch onto the chin and it'll let go.
I like that idea. It's like that's one of the things that I think has a lot of potential of this series is to see all these different kind of techniques be developed and work their way into the plot. I'm assuming.
I've mentioned ad nauseum how in the past some of my favorite movies have that progression type stuff. Like again, Catch Me If You Can, the whole check thing.
Yeah, definitely. It's basically establishing rules. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rules are one of my favorite things when it comes to fiction. So, yeah, gotta love it.
It kind of ties into 2 a little. I'm stretching for this one, but basically the whole you don't take a toy from a dragon.
Well, no, yeah, you're right. It does kind of tie in.
That one's a little more of a loose sleeve. It's kind of a general thing. Anyway, but again, it's not loud, not too bright. Basically, it just says, no, I'm just going to take the thing from it. Gets eaten.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Gets eaten, and then, like, Stormfly pins him to a wall or something.
Yeah.
And he stays there.
He's like there the night, like, into the night. No one even acknowledges him. He's just... Which is very appropriate because...
No, actually, no. Oh, we're thinking of the next episode. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Sorry.
Oh, God.
Sorry. That's so funny to me.
It's not loud.
Anyway, that's going to be your runner.
It's not that whole role in the series to just get abused.
Yes, pretty much. He gets lit on fire a lot. So. Well, he rides a dragon and lights itself on fire. What can you expect?
Yeah, and he's kind of douche, so...
Well, yeah.
Kind of getting what's coming.
Again, third movie can make him a little less douchey, make him a little more awesome. Humble.
Sure. That's, yeah.
Okay, so big plot point. Go ahead. So after they're trained a little, what do? They try to train the other ones, right?
Yeah, and the idea is, well, hey, dragons are going to be dragons, but let's use the dragons for their potential. So, for example, the poop joke that you love so much.
Well, not yet, Tiki. We're jumping ahead a little here.
Oh, God, I'm sorry.
Remember the... Okay, so basically the dragons, they go out there trying to train the other dragons, but then it's like all quiet, and then they find out that even their dragons are gone, and we find there's a big pile of smoke coming off from another place, and basically all the food's been eaten for the big freeze that's coming.
Right. Yeah, and then, God, one of the scenes that's just kind of poignant is when Stoic's like, how can I trust you to train these dragons when you can't even train your own? And then it shows like Toothless, he's just, I'm just like, oh, that always really hurts.
Yeah, that's not really helping. Poor Toothless. He doesn't know any better. He's just hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then that happens, and I like how Stokey really is giving Hiccup a chance here. But again, the main thing about Vikings have no patience. When you really think about it.
That's great how they kind of fit that whole thing into the show. It's very much in character.
Yeah, but at least Stoic, I guess, is the most patient, along with Gobber, in terms of that, because at least they're giving Hiccup a shot. But then, basically, things are getting real bad. Mildew's making a big fuss. What a baby. Basically saying, let's get rid of those dragons. Basically said, we'll put them in cages for the night. There's not enough food for the freeze that's coming up soon, which is a big problem. Which actually, I wonder how exactly it says, because later on there is a freeze that does happen. So I wonder if it's accounting for this freeze or not.
Okay, interesting.
There is going to be a big old winter storm episode, so I wonder if that ties into this or not. But anyway, so basically they're not going to have enough food for the freeze. They're going to rush out to get as much food as they can, which will not be enough. A lot of fish.
Mm-hmm.
Mildu's making a scene, so basically have the dragons caged and basically sent away tomorrow, which is not good because they're going to lose their dragons, and boo-hoo, we don't want that to happen. I'm mean.
No, and another emotional moment, just when the group has to send all their dragons to the cages,
I love the shot.
Hiccup stops it. He's like, "Wait, guys, we're not going to do this. We're going to figure out another way. We're going to have a master plan."
I love the framing of that scene too. By the way, it's like the dragons being caged in there. Look at the fear on their face, or like the sadness on their face.
I'd say it's probably the highlight of the whole episode for me.
Oh, it's like the cage is coming down, like the old days, which you don't want. But
right.
Then Hiccup saves the day, which is
and
good.
It's especially emotional with Astrid.
Oh yeah, Astrid loves her dragon. And so does Meatlug too, because Meatlug has Meatlug has the line. I'm pretty sure it's this one where it basically says, "How am I?" It's a funny exchange too. It's after they're defeated, and they say we're gonna have to send our dragons away. They're all kind of depressed in the hall. And then basically, I was waking up in the morning to see Stormfly's face in my window. Then Fishleg says, "The hell am I gonna go to sleep without Meatlug licking my feet?"
Yeah.
Then Rough Nut says to Tough Nut, "Well, you can do that." It says, "Ugh, what time should I show up?"
That's great.
Basically says, "Okay, what time should I show up?" He is being he's game for anything. He's PG Jason Mewes. Anyway. In that environment, after they leave all depressed and before that cage scene, Mildew, he's going there, he's gloating because he's a douche.
Yeah, pretty much.
Basically, he's saying, don't beat yourself up, Hiccup. It's the natural order of things. Again, he's kind of sounding a lot like my character. So mentioning the natural.
Yeah.
Again, I swear to you, complete coincidence.
Do you think it's possible because you haven't seen it yet? Do you think it's possible that in season 2 Mildew kind of develops into a darker character?
No. I mean, there's one episode coming up where he does something intentionally villainous, but it's still a completely out of selfish reasoning. So I say
okay. Fair enough.
Anyway, there's no way this guy's gonna be as serious as the guy came up.
Right. Yeah.
And my guy, remember, he was like at one point he was like delimbing. Oh no, that was Drago. Never mind. I was gonna say delimbing the mother. That's Drago Bloodfish though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my guy was like pulling a knife on a child though. That was my guy.
Oh God, right.
I don't think Mildew was on that level yet. Anyway, like he was begging for death. That was my guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Mildew has this little quip, basically he's gloating, saying, it's like the natural order. They're fighting their natural instincts. It's impossible. It's just their natural instincts. That's the way the world's naturally supposed to be. Just the Vikings, without dragons. He's all gloating and being a douche. But then Toothless blows blows into the fire, growing the fire, and then basically a Viking lady says, "Oh, thanks, Toothless." And then Hiccup gets the idea, and it's so brilliant. I love how Hiccup's mind worked on this. He comes up with the idea. He basically takes Mildew's words, and he comes with a solution, the natural solution. I'm going to use the dragon. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. What?
No, you want to go ahead with this? Or?
Oh, yeah. He's just, the natural dragons will be dragons, so let's just let them be dragons and help out and whatnot. Yeah.
Using the habits to help out and doing things such as, what their habits would be, uses them for fishing. So we had mulch and buckets. They're doing the fishing, and it's going to be impossible to get that many fish in that time. But luckily, dragons, they love fish, and they can help wrangle fish, scare them into the water.
Right.
Scare them out of the water into the net.
It's not like goes out with hook fang, and they get like just a whole mess load of fish. It's not like it's like, oh yeah, that just happened.
Oh yeah. And basically, like they're shooting fireballs to the ground to herd the sheep into the barn, and then they buy back the poo joke with. But at least in this case, they crap on the villain, which is good, you know. If you're gonna crap on someone, don't crap on the hero, crap on the villain.
Yeah, that does make sense, you know. It's like, yeah, you gotta have some fertilizer, sure. So, you know.
Basically, they save like I love how Astrid does it too. Astrid, she uses Stormfly's tail to rake the ground, and then Oh god, this is a terribly staged, but well, I mean it's better staged than before, but still it's so gross. Meat lug comes down there, and then fish legs on top of the meat lug says, "Let it go, girl." Oh god.
Oh god.
At least it's actually they show it regardless, so they don't show the separation, if you will, but they show the landing, which is it's disgusting. At least then I like how Hiccup basically says, "Yeah, we just crapped on you," basically by saying, "Oh, we just saved you 3 months of work with fertilizer."
Right.
Yeah, which again, at least it's like they're not bashing.
Honestly, with you, like if they would have just like made a point to avoid hitting Mildew, I think he would have been a little more appreciative. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, he didn't get hit at all, though. That's the thing. It bothers me more.
Oh, he didn't? Okay. So, yeah. That is the thing. So, it's like, he goes back, and he's, like, literally bitching about, like, them saving him time? Like, what?
I mean, he almost gets it. It might hit his shoe or something, but I don't think it hits him. I mean, why is it our hero gets hit and not the bad guy? What kind of world are we living in?
Oh, God.
Our hero gets hit on the head, by the way. Well, I mean, literally.
Maybe it's like Breaking Bad. It's like with Breaking Bad, you know, Jesse had to wade through literal crap on his journey through redemption. So.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I still hate the poo joke, but at least they brought it back logically. You know, like using it for fertilizer makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so then basically to take away what Mildew has to complain about, they let me think here. Oh yeah, so basically then they took out those dragons without Stoics, against Stoics' wishes, so then they're being called in by Stoic into the dragon arena, and they're gonna...
And they're all freaked out.
So, and I love this scene. My favorite gag's in this scene.
Yeah.
You mind if I tell it?
Yeah, go for it.
So, okay, so they're all in there, they're all nervous, like the twins said, oh, we're totally busted. You know, everyone's down, like, you know, basically Stoic walks up to him and says, you defied my orders. And, you know, Hiccup saying, no, they didn't defy your orders, Dad, I did. Mm-hmm. And then basically says, you know what I'm going to have to do now, right? Or something along those lines, and then basically Gobbler pops in. I love Gobbler so much. Gobbler pops in and basically steals Stoic's thunder by, he spoils the news, basically. You're getting a Dragon Academy! He says, Gobbler! I love the dynamic.
To be the one to tell them.
I love the dynamic between these two so much, and it's gotten better with this. Just saying, Gobbler, I wanted to tell. It's like an Abbott and Costello routine almost.
Yeah.
I wanted to tell him. Oh, I didn't tell him the whole news, like how you're very proud of them. It's like, Gobbler! No, go on, tell him. This is, well, you know, pretty much what he said.
My one problem with this ending is that it's like, so basically Stoic, he's pretty much just gonna ignore. Oh God, you know, he's gonna ignore the complaints at this point. I'm guessing, right?
Well, no. Remember, they use the dragons for good now. Now they have a better handle, and basically they now have trained the dragons somewhat into using their natural abilities to help out.
Yeah, I know, but that doesn't stop. But that doesn't stop Mulch from you know, or I'm sorry, not Mulch. That doesn't stop
Mildew.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was blanking on his name for a second. That doesn't stop Mildew from complaining.
Oh, of course not. Mildew's.
So what I'm saying is Stoic going to just ignore Mildew's complaining? Is he just going to like kind of tune it out?
He only has to pay attention to mildew if it's actually something genuine, or which is very rarely, but usually when he rallies up a whole angry mob, then he has to address the angry mob.
Right.
Because mildew's a baby. Man, someone ate my cabbages.
Well, you saved me 3 months' time.
Not to take away from Stephen. Again, Stephen really does a good performance of this guy. He's a whiner though. Again, Stephen really he's always done good, especially voice acting. He's on King of the Hill a lot. I believe he's Bill Dotrieve, if I'm correct.
Oh, really?
Yes, I'm pretty sure. I'm like 90% sure that's him.
Wow, I never would have guessed.
Yeah, Stephen Root. Stephen Root's he's been in Finding Nemo.
Oh, that's who?
Yeah, he's Bubbles. Remember Bubbles?
Ooh, I don't remember that.
The fish that when you open the treasure chest, the bubbles come out.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's him. He's done voice work before, and he's done good roles. He's Stephen Root's. Yeah, he's been in Dodgeball. He's been from the Office Space. He's the guy with the stapler from Office Space.
Right. Oh God.
Yeah, Stephen Root, illustrious career, that guy, and he's a good job. If I'm harsh on the character, it's not on the actor, it's just on the character because he's such a whiny boy. But he's supposed to. He's not
like
exactly.
You said, it's kind of two-dimensional.
Yeah, he's not a villain, but he's just a big old whiner, and he does lead to villainous things. He usually is not he's an easy threat out. He's just a whiner. You want to kick in the pants, but that's about it.
Oh God.
Or just have him stand out in the open field at 3 o'clock, you know.
Exactly.
So then we end with we get the dragon.
The end.
We get the Dragon Academy. Yeah, Astrid says, "Yeah, I like that sign." And we see it's a really neat sign with like Toothless is on the sign that looks nice. Basically Hiccup's now in charge of the Dragon Academy training everyone, teaching everyone how to ride their dragons better and stuff.
Yeah, it's a good wrap up to the episode, and also a good kind of starting point for the series. It's definitely going to lead to a lot of interesting like we already said, a lot of interesting. I'm assuming some rules are going to get developed in this training academy. Some background information. Go for it.
I was going to say, I love how they didn't do a stupid thing that would have been, Hiccup somewhat messes up, and then Stoic. This would be like the traditional terrible way of doing it. Like Hiccup remotely messed up, so we're going to bring in a new character, or Gobber, not that I dislike Gobber at all, or someone who's less experienced than Hiccup at this.
Right.
To lead them.
Oh, God.
Or you know what? Maybe Mildew, because you're complaining, you can lead them. No, none of that stuff.
Oh no!
Exactly, that'd be terrible. Those are all terrible ways they could have gone about it. Like if they brought in like someone new, saying this is a real dragon expert. No.
I hear you. Yeah, if they just brought in like some flashy new character.
Yeah, that would have been the heart. I love how Stoic was smart enough though that a little bit of pride at his son, but also it's more so that this guy knows what he's doing. He should be the one to teach everyone. I'm giving him more responsibility. True. It pays off. We said earlier. Now he's giving him the chance to prove his worth as a man and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you're in charge of this academy. I trust you. You're my son. Good stuff there.
Yeah, nice way to round out the episode. Like I said, it's going to leave some pretty good potential for the series, I feel, story-wise. So that's about it. Do you want to do a wrap-up?
Certainly. Just to kind of echo Hiccup's words and echo us out here. Just basically, dragons are wondrous creatures, and we can learn a lot about them. And you and I together on this series, we might learn a lot about the universe of How to Train Your Dragon, and particularly the Riders of Berk.
Which is exactly what I'm excited for, because like I said, I am a sucker for rules and world building and all that stuff, and I think this series has it in spades, so I'm really enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to give us a little bit of a preview for the next episode?
Well, I don't think it's really necessary, but just say next episode's going to be Gobber-centric.
None of the Batman the Animated Series episodes are connected to each other, and yet we still do previews for those.
Well, I mean, yeah, but next time we're going to talk about. Well, next time Gobber's going to fit into the mix quite well.
Oh yes. I really enjoyed this next episode. Quite honestly, a lot more than this first pilot episode. This first pilot episode's really good, don't get me wrong, but it's got some faults with it. Like we said, Mildew's a little two-dimensional, and it doesn't even really make sense why he's complaining half the time.
Well, this next episode so far is my favorite so far in the series.
Oh, okay, so, All right,
it was
so
my first one, too, so maybe that has a lot to do with it, but, yeah.
Yeah, and also, it's just, like we said, it's very Gobber-heavy, and Gobber is just so lovable, so.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, so that'll do it. We hope you guys have enjoyed this first episode. I always like to do these recap type of shows because it's always fun to kind of go through a series and get our reactions to it and everything. I really enjoy doing this type of stuff, so really looking forward to going through this thing. There's 40 episodes right now, so I'm assuming it's going to take us a while to get through the whole thing, so yeah, strap in because it's going to be a fun ride. Alright, any last words, BlueDragonFive?
I guess to kind of echo my previous words, dragons are wondrous creatures, and we can learn a lot about them. And together, Tiki and I, we're going to learn all we can about dragons when we're working together as not only just riders of Berk, but also watchers of Berk.
Because we have a master plan! Alright, see you guys later.
Yay!